Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sean Yao, and it is my honor to be your host for the 9th breakout track of the Philippine Digital Convention 2020, entitled eGOVERNMENT, brought to you by PLDT Enterprise, Smart, and ePLDT. We're excited to have you join us as we continue to help you discover how you can pivot your enterprise towards success to ensure lasting and effective change as we enter the new future of work. Truly, the Philippine Digital Convention 2020 is set to be like no other, as this is the first all-virtual iteration of the convention. But as we like to say at PLDT, pivot or perish. And this virtual convention is but a manifestation of how we've transformed in light of the current business landscape. Likewise, we hope that it serves as a venue for you to find ways for your organization to continuously evolve. But before we get to that, we would once again like to thank our official event partners. With everything moving towards digital, government units, agencies, and cities are called to digitize their operations to make public safety and services more convenient and accessible for citizens. And this session looks into empowering the industry with cutting-edge technologies to transform public governance. But just because we're virtual, it does not mean that this year's session is going to be any less interactive or engaging. We would definitely love to hear from you. So do share your thoughts and insights by keying them into the chat box or posting them on your respective social media accounts using the official event hashtags. That's hashtag Brace for Impact and hashtag PHDigicon 2020. Also get a chance to win exciting raffle prizes just by answering our feedback form, which will be made available after this session, so do stay tuned for that. Now, to walk us through what a smart city transformation looks like, its components and benefits, let's all welcome the Head of Research for Global Data Asia Pacific, who brings compelling market data and insight to enterprise buyers, service providers, and vendors. Currently, he supports clients in linking ICT modernization to business outcomes. Let's all welcome Dustin Kehoe.
A big warm welcome to DigiCon. Thank you very much. My name is Dustin Kehoe from Global Data. Today we're going to talk about smart cities. And I know this is very topical for most of you. I want to walk through the importance of them, the opportunities, the challenges, but of course, most importantly, some takeaways. Why we think it's important, but what you can do today to start planning for the smart city, whatever stage you're in this journey. So when we think of smart cities, there's three sort of overriding objectives. First of all, there's a city or the society overall. We actually want to start interconnecting disparate parts of a smart city to a common IT infrastructure. For example, this could be mobility solutions with transportation networks powered on a smart energy grid. And this starts to give you like operational efficiencies, cost savings, improved decision-making, and environmental sustainability. But there's another aspect of smart cities. There's the citizens. And increasingly, especially in current times, we're seeing a lot to do with smart education, having content just a click away, lots around health and telemedicine, public services. I'm a resident of Singapore, for example. In preparation for today, I cannot think of one thing I cannot do in terms of a public service, in terms of dealings with the government, where I actually need to go online or wait in line physically at a location somewhere. I can do it virtually all online, and it's all secure through multi-factor authentication. And there's a health and safety aspect, smart analytics, and quality of life. And then there's the business aspect, where businesses really want a safe, transparent environment to conduct their activities. Some of the things that come around that is like footfall analytics, understanding people that pass by your place, your high street, understanding your customers and maybe something about their demographics. But what happens if we don't do smart cities? Well, here's the problem. Your Friday night commute becomes your everyday commute. There are going to be 49 mega cities, cities with over 10 million people in the world. Can you guess how many are going to be in Asia? 30. 19 will be in China, 6 will be in India, 5 will be in ASEAN. So the developing markets are going to be most impacted if we don't actually have a strategy. 50% of the world pretty much lives in the a smart city now. By 2050, it's going to be more like 70%. And what's actually going to hold that number, what's going to shoulder that number, is going to be the developing markets. That's why it's really important that we act now. And there's so many things tying around the concept of smart city, which impacts all of us actually. And here's just to name a few. I mean, if we don't really get our head around this, we're going to, all the things we don't like about cities just become exacerbated. For example, congestion, the strain on infrastructure. You might have social inequalities, which leads to a rise in crime rate, pollution, and the list just goes on. And they're almost like mutually reinforcing, and that's kind of a direction we don't want to go moving forward. So what's the opportunity in smart cities? Well, here's some forecasts by global data. In 2030, we're seeing something like an $833 billion opportunity. We've broken it down by different aspects. But the thing with smart cities is a lot easier said than done. There's a lot of actual challenges that you sort of need to consider. Let's go through some of them. One of the things is a slow start. There's a study by Roland Berger where he looked at smart cities all around the world. And he started with cities that had a published strategy of what they're going to do that was easily downloadable from the internet. And of course, there's thousands of smart city concepts out there. He was starting at published strategies. And he went through them and he looked at decision making. He looked at the interconnectedness of say, education with healthcare, with transportation networks. He looked at the big picture and he found that only 15 were well ahead with going down something that could be close to implementation. And of these 153, only 8 were at the advanced stages of implementation. That's cities like Vienna, London, a few others. So we really actually just have a long ways to go. We're just at the very, basically the tip of the iceberg. Maybe the triangle is the best way to represent that. The other thing is there's fragmentation with smart cities. For example, when you want to make a decision, you might be dealing with different ministries. Depending on jurisdiction, you might be dealing with local, state, or federal, which could overlap in terms of the jurisdictions. There could be different bodies involved. There would need a coordination. There would need to be a budget. There would need to be an executive who says, this is really a good idea and this is how we're going to do it. There needs to be citizens' involvement. You actually need to have a digital infrastructure and the right kind of network set up. So there's so many contingencies or ifs, ands, or buts that really need to be part of this framework, I guess. The other aspect of it is security and privacy. Let's talk about security first. Security, for example, you have all your typical hacker things. You know, your servers could be hacked, your information systems. But then with smart cities, there's the operational technology. There's your traffic lights, your CCTVs that could be victims of ransomware. There's a privacy aspects with biometrics. Would you like to walk into a high street store and know that you're being watched and your face is being scanned and sent across a database to and there could be some additional like background information going on, maybe a link to your social network profile. There are some companies that have 3 billion images in a database that they use for scanning for things like facial recognition technology. We just have to think about that. We have to manage that, the privacy. But in terms of where to start, I have 2 thoughts on that. The first is, I believe telecom providers, wherever you are in the world, are very much a natural fit because of scale. Smart city is about connectedness. It could be the fixed network. It could be the mobile network. You could be talking about high definition cameras for video surveillance or public safety. You could be talking about narrowband, small pipes for monitoring meters. These are fixed and mobile networks of different dimensions that required a meshed and interconnectivity. Then there's the infrastructure itself. There's a data center aspect. The data centers may have your cloud networks, but it could be a private cloud network. There's the security. There's the data sovereignty, compliance, and customer privacy. These issues tend to be very local. Telecom providers tend to be the best positioned to understand those local issues to address the global challenges. There are the services wraps around it. If you're doing smart cities for public sector, for education, for government, maybe smart buildings, you need to think more vertically integrated. So think of managed services, the analytics, but telcos themselves are not the ones that do everything. They give you access to ecosystems, startup communities, and channel partners. And there are many who are actually speaking on this panel today. So if you were to start a smart city, where would you start? And this is my last slide. The first and the easiest and the most low-hanging fruit that I come across is predictive preventative maintenance. It's the idea of putting a sensor on a coil, a ball bearing, a drive shaft, a blower, a fan, some mechanical part that senses for vibration, heat, noise, acoustics. As soon as there's something out of the ordinary, it sends an alert. Isn't that better than a fire? Isn't that better than an unplanned outage? Isn't that better than your traffic lights going out or something bigger than what it really needs to be? It's predictive maintenance. And it seems to be the place where a lot of people like to start. When you're building these frameworks, also think of open systems, interoperability, APIs, because typically there's never going to be a single vendor that's going to be able to give you everything. There's going to be limitations, there's going to be cracks. Nothing is actually seamless, giving all the parts. So look at that as well. Connectivity should be access agnostic. You might be looking at narrowband IoT with 5G. You might be looking at fixed networks, Ethernet, MPLS. There's lots to go around. Dark fiber, lit fiber. There's so many things that go around this wrap that's important to consider. And of course, since security and privacy is so paramount, you would really need to think about a data governance strategy. And I'm thinking about how this, how data is captured, stored, archived, retrieved, who owns the data, who accesses the data, where is this data located, how long do we keep this data in place for, how do we maybe auto-delete certain things, maybe we don't store certain things. All of these things need to be considerations in data governance. Thank you very much for joining us at DigiCon, for your time today. We have a terrific group of panelists and speakers coming up, and we very much look forward to your questions at the end. All the best.
Thanks for giving us a glimpse of a smart city, Dustin. And now, let's take a closer look at what a smart city looks like in real life. Let's journey through Las Vegas's smart city transformation with NTT.
Thank you so much for participating in the Philippine Digital Convention 2020. We're very delighted to be here, and we thank PLDT for the invitation. My name is Wen Ming, and I'm very excited to be here to share with you NTT's vision and strategy toward a smart, connected future. NTT, we are a $109 billion organization with over 300,000 members in the organization. But what's more important that's relevant for this convention is NTT's investment in research and development. Every year, NTT invests $3.6 billion in research and development with the intention of innovating some of the best ideas that we hope to bring to the market. In this specific area of interest, NTT has made a lot of development, innovation in the smart connected world. When we talk about smart connected world, it is important that we make reference to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As you may know, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals within the United Nations framework. NTT is active in most of the initiative, but especially active in the area of sustainable cities and communities. This is Goal 11 as part of the framework. Our view of sustainable cities and community are 4 areas of importance. First, the safety and security of the citizens and the community living in the township is always top in the agenda. Second, the citizens' experience within the environment. Once again, be it commuting within the township, be it the living environment, be it the healthcare environment, you've got to make sure that it's seamless and is of high quality within the township. Thirdly, efficiency. From a governance standpoint, from a township management standpoint, we've got to make sure that the deployment is of optimum resource usage. Hopefully, it's carbon neutral in every engagement that we have within the township. Lastly, cost saving. Optimizing the infrastructure as we expand to bring the costs of living as low as possible and to make it affordable. Couple of areas of great interest, as you can see on the chart. Public safety, absolutely top on the list. The transit within a town, the traffic environment is always critical to make sure that it's conducive to stay with. The smart building, the healthcare aspects, it's critical to make sure that it's of a world-class quality. And last but not least, cybersecurity, as the whole world is connected today. NTT has invested and been involved in a few projects that drive towards the aspiration of a smart connected world. And I could see on the screen here, we have a few projects that we have completed in various parts of the world. Includes Vegas in the US, the medical healthcare in Spain, the conservation of rhino in South Africa, as well as sports in France, as well as in UK. So these are examples of smart connected world that NTT has brought to the world. And I hope to share with you in this conference some of the projects we've done, and hopefully we can work with you to replicate some of the learnings and some of the projects we have in the rest of the world. So to start with, let's take a look at the city of Las Vegas. This is a project that we've been doing for the last couple of years. When we first met the mayor of the city of Las Vegas, the mayor's aspiration is the ability to respond to any emergency incident as quickly as possible with the right resources. That's top on the mayor's agenda. The mayor also like to have a proactive situational awareness so that they've got information feed from various parts of the city and they could make a sound decision regards to the reaction and the responses to the incident. And last but not least, the mayor wished to have a collective pool of data points that could assist them to make improve decision process. So those are the three key areas that they have laid out as far as this Smart Connected Worlds project is concerned. So what we have done, having understood their needs, is we've brought intelligence into surveillance. I think surveillance by itself is quite straightforward, but to provide intelligence into surveillance is a crucial piece. And what we've done here is we have deployed artificial intelligence and machine learning to the data points that are collected in various parts of the city so that the administration could make sound decision at the back of the points that's been raised. So it's not about what's going on now, but it's what could potentially happen after the initial incident. So that predictive aspect is very critical for the city of Vegas. The couple of use cases that's been done in this example is public venue safety. Again, safety being top on the list. It's a proactive alert that they're looking for. In this aspect, they're looking at crowd, vehicle, traffic control to make sure that they have early preview of what potentially could happen. So things such as glass breaking, gunshot, kids screaming, they're able to detect and recommend appropriate course of action as a result of those activities that's taken place on the street. So the value to City of Las Vegas at the end of the project is we are able to meet the needs of the mayor in terms of safety of the city. We are able to provide enhanced situational awareness so that they can proactively react to some of the needs in the streets of Vegas. You can see on the picture, we've got the mayor. She's the lady right in the middle of the picture. And on her left is our chief exec of NTT Holding, Sawara-san, as part of the completion of the project. So yes, the project went smoothly and we're able to deliver the expectation of the mayor in Las Vegas. So taking those learnings, we have now brought those expertise into Asia. In this case, we've deployed a similar environment in Cyberjaya in Malaysia to make sure we provide an optimal urban mobility planning for Malaysia. We have also taken that experience on a similar work for a public transport in Australia, in the state of Victoria. NTT Data has built a public transport ticketing system, but I guess more importantly is the ability for us to analyze the passenger traffic and volume for the purpose of urban mobility planning. Moving to the US, University of California, we've done a similar project in campus as far as the traffic management is concerned. So what we'll just share with you are some of the work we've done in taking technology, applying to a smart township, a smart city environment. Let's switch gear. Let's look at how we use smart technology in sports. For those cyclists out there, I'm sure you're familiar with an event called Tour de France. This is a cycling race that's taking place in every year in France. It's a 21 days race. Very pleased to share with you that NTT, we have been the official technology partner for Tour de France since 2015. And what we've done here is quite amazing, though. We have taken the technology based on IoT, Internet of Things, with various sensors that we have designed. You can see here one specific sensor, very lightweight, less than 100 grams, that's installed at the back of every bicycle. And with this sensor, we are able to extract real-time data of the cyclist's performance, be it distance, cadence, acceleration, even elevation that is going through. With this real-time data that's been extracted, we're able to analyze and overlay this with the visual presentation as part of the broadcasting media. So this is a good a test of a real-time IoT deployment in a sports environment. So watch this space, Tour de France. It's really exciting, and we are entering the next year of race, and we're going to do more interesting application at the back of this infrastructure. Last but not least, which is really exciting, it's applying smart technology in the area of conservation. In this example, it's actually taken place in South Africa Game Reserve. What we are trying to address is this very sad statistics produced by the Department of Environmental Affairs in South Africa, where it shows that every 8 hours, a rhino is killed. And that's very sad, because at the rate that's going, there are probably not enough rhino left for our grandchildren to see. So what we've done here is we have deployed, once again, smart surveillance, be it visual or be it physical tracking of assets into the game park, be it vehicle, be it people walking in and out, the background check of individual, and if there's an event of an incident, the system will automatically trigger either a drone or helicopter with the park rangers to investigate and stop approaching. The end results of this investment is we have reduced rhino poaching by 96% in this private game reserve. We are so inspired by this project we've done that we wish to replicate the same project here in Asia. We are still working out the details with the aspiration of conserving some of the endangered species here in the Asia region. So what's exciting that we've shared with you in the last few minutes is with the investment of R&D technology, with the ability to use IT to translate some of these benefits and innovation into a new township, into sports, as well as conservation in a wildlife environment. We're very excited to share that with you, and we believe if we put our minds together, we are able to do great things together for the better world of the society. So I thank you for your time and I thank you for your participation, and I look forward to working with you moving forward to make things happen. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye now.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's something that we all definitely look forward to here in the Philippines. Now let's hear about the country's digital landscape. Let's all welcome PLDT Enterprises Customer Relationship Management Head for the Public Sector, Joy Hilaw.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the PLDT Digital Convention 2020. This is Joy Hilaw from PLDT Enterprise Public Sector team. Thank you for sharing your time with us and learning about the new technologies for smart cities. We know that we have several government agencies and local government unit officials and mayors watching this event. Hopefully, we could be of assistance to your constituents. Taking off from the last presenter, Mr. Dustin Kehoe, we now go to the Philippine setting. The Philippines has exactly about 81 provinces and 146 cities. Approximately 25% are into smart city digital transformation as of date. Population densities are higher in cities compared to municipalities and barangays. Metro Manila, being the center of trade and commerce, has 16 cities and 1 municipality with a total area of 600 square meters occupied. There are 14 million Filipinos living in Metro Manila alone. Due to the mass migration of rural folks to the cities, available public services and utilities are becoming limited and unaffordable. Add to that, the quality of life is significantly reduced due to basic problems like overpopulation, traffic, increase in parking space requirements, pollution, lack of housing, hospitals, schools, food resources, and other basic necessities. On the other hand, the local government units in charge with the administration and operation of the cities have limited budgets whereby it has to find alternative solutions which are more efficient and sustainable. Mayors, therefore, have to maximize its budget with the use of technology and intelligent machines to manage public assets and resources efficiently and effectively without sacrificing public services and safety. Due to the recent COVID pandemic, we have witnessed the surge in orders for telecommunication services in the public sector side, particularly in local government units. The pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation, paving the way for work from home or study from home situation. The term smart city has evolved in naming convention. Some terms which include intelligent city, cyber city, digital city, electronic city, information city, and/or wired city. Now, what are some of the components of a smart city? Some, because there are cities that are more advanced than others and have reached a different stage already. Examples are Singapore, New York, Tokyo, London, Seoul, to name a few. Going back, here are the components of a smart city for the Philippine setting. We have smart government, smart digital citizens, smart education, smart health, smart buildings, smart transportation, smart energy, Wi-Fi, and open data. I will only be giving an overview of each component, and our product teams and partners will discuss each in detail thereafter. What is digital transformation then? It is a shift from the traditional paper analog technology to the digital wired or high-tech model to improve public services to the general public and end users. It is also a cultural shift since it involves not only government and business, but citizens. It is the systematic automation of processes with data analytics to guide the population on how to make life easier for its customers and end users. It is generally a combination of governance, economics, infrastructure, and technology. In order to become a smart city, it has to undergo a digital transformation first. Local government units allocate certain budgets annually to attain this transformation. It is usually done in phases based on priority and budget. One component alone can have several services and applications with interoperability functions, though. Advanced technology plays a major role in the transformation as digital systems translate into better public service for its inhabitants and for better use of resources with less environmental impact. Smart government. It is having access to government data, interactive maps, government performance dashboards, transparency into budgeting, live streamed city hall meetings, and a strong social media presence. All assist smart cities in creating closer relationships with citizens. These smart technologies help increase civic engagement and trust in city officials. What is a digital citizen? Aside from government's push for digitalization, it would be futile to start the program without the engagement of its citizenry. They must be willing to adapt and adjust to the changes, willing to learn the technologies, and constantly use it to their advantage. This applies to all ages, not only to tech-savvy generation. Smart health. Due to overpopulation, there are not enough barangay health centers, hospitals, and medical practitioners to support the medical needs. So, the most practical and feasible approach is to come up with a healthcare system complete with patient data and medical history, which can be accessed by the concerned parties. Take note, however, of data privacy regulations regarding the information. Medical equipment, supplies, and medicines should also have inventory system for future ordering requirements. Smart education. The public school system alone has over 27 million students in elementary and public high school, or about 25% of the population. Then add to that are the 10 million students in colleges and universities nationwide. Easy and reliable access to educational materials and learning management systems is now becoming a necessity, which was brought about by the pandemic. In return, local government units are taking a big role nowadays by reallocating their budgets and purchasing tablets, devices for their marginalized public school students. We have also witnessed the recent purchases from both public and private school sectors in this regard. Smart building. Improvement of services in both commercial and residential buildings. These include utility services like power, water, and telecommunications. This brings down consumption levels when not needed and generally helps improve the environment. In addition, advanced technologies enable end users control to their facilities, even from a different location or country. Smart transportation. In the Philippine setting, we have a public riding population of about 60 to 70%, whether it's in-city, intercity, or inter-island. This calls for a systematic process to enable the riders to properly schedule trips. Interconnected transportation systems have some of the greatest potential to drastically enhance efficiencies throughout the city. Enhanced traffic management to public transit riders, ability to track bus or train locations, smart technologies allow cities to better serve clients despite growing populations. This is both a government and private sector endeavor as it is cross-territorial boundaries. Smart public safety. This component is an important pillar in the Smart City program. It involves teams from the police, healthcare, legal, engineering groups. Technology has allowed remote monitoring of environmental situations, incidents, accidents, dangerous situations that may affect the safety of the citizens. Command centers with CCTV monitoring equipment are now common nowadays, and this is usually backed up by the 911 emergency response teams. Smart energy. There are different types of energy resources, whether solar, geothermal, wind, and biomass. Whatever the source may be, the government unit should be able to correctly monitor its source versus use to enable the equipment and devices to produce energy at the lowest possible cost. Mobility and Wi-Fi. This is basically the foundation of all smart city apps through mobile or Wi-Fi. It is the transport whereby we can access all the platforms and systems. And now we will show you some of the programs and projects we have with the smart city in the whole Philippines. We start off with Metro Manila. On the leftmost portion, you will see samples of PayMaya cards that we have issued to several local government units, the biggest of which is Mandaluyong City and Manila City. Then we have the CCTV camera and command center from Mandaluyong City. Then we proceed to Luzon for the regional LGU initiatives, the biggest of which is the Cavite City Fiberization Project, which is a 2-year program. Then we have Baguio, San Fernando, Pampanga, Cauayan, Isabela, Lawag City, and Ilocos Norte. Now we go to the Visayas region. For Visayas, the biggest installation is going to be in Dumaguete for the CCTV and command center, followed by Mandaue City in Cebu, Iloilo, Negros, Aklan, and Ormoc. And for the Mindanao region, we have Cagayan de Oro, Mambahaw, Sarangani, Camiguin, Misamis Oriental, and General Santos. In times like these, we are committed to keep you connected at PLDT. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you later in our question and answer portion. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Joy. Truly, a smart city makes for a safer and more effective community, having improved transportation, public utilities, and infrastructure. Again, we would love to hear your thoughts and insights, so do key them in the chat box or post them on your social media accounts. But don't forget to use the official event hashtags, #BraceForImpact, and #PHDigicon2020. Here to take us on a journey to a safer, smarter, and more sustainable city, our next speaker is Nokia Enterprises Head of Government and Cities for Asia Pacific and Japan. Her extensive global career has successfully driven sustainable business value across the government sector, safe smart cities, smart grids, clean tech, telecommunications, and software sectors in the Asia Pacific, Europe, and the Americas. Let's all welcome Barbara Noonan.
It's great to be with you today virtually. I'm going to be sharing with you Nokia's City as a Platform approach and why cities are starting to move to holistic strategies to enable the city to be a safer, smarter, and more sustainable place. We've seen single vertical use cases being trialed for many years in many cities with varying degrees of success. We now have a new approach. As we look at the impact of the fourth industrial revolution on our cities, we see fundamental changes as we move to an increasingly digital world, which is enabled by broadband networks, cloud computing, IoT, and increasing use of artificial intelligence. If we were doing this last year, we would all be face-to-face rather than leveraging broadband networks and various digital tools. As we look at the secular changes that are operating within our environment, we're seeing numerous changes that are occurring with climate change, the emergence of different economic growth patterns, and of course the COVID impact, which is very significant. We still, from an outcomes point of view, we live in a world where we expect everything to be connected, everything to be integrated, increasing uses of OPEX rather than CAPEX models, and cities that are very much trying to optimize everything. There's just going to be so many different solutions for each of the functions within the city. And as we continue to be more digitized, we will see a more interconnected world. What you're seeing here is a typical city budget with a number of different topic areas. And when you look at any city government's budget, you'll always see typically that the healthcare costs, the education costs are quite substantial. As we have an increasing aging population in most countries around the world, these costs continue to increase. Managing the infrastructure with connected sensors is really important, as is the provision of digital education services. These are all things that have to be managed within the city budget. that each city has. And when we look at taking a platform approach, we really are seeing 4 key benefits: the services innovation, the inclusion and strategic priorities of each city that really need to be addressed, and the shift to increasing use of digital services and the trust and resilience that all cities have to build, which is so evident as we live within our COVID environment. I've been talking about a platform approach. The platform approach, as we see, which we're showing you here on the slide, it really creates value in 2 different ways. So if we look at the first bottom left corner, that's really about the connectivity. And connectivity is a foundation. Everything needs to be connected with everyone. It's about bridging the digital divide, which is an enormous issue that many countries are facing. Secondly, we then move to digital services, such as next generation healthcare, network schools, connected assets. And it's as you move beyond the connectivity foundation up into the digital services delivery that you really start to see the value increasing for the city. So you're down at 1x when you're only at a connectivity layer, but you're going up to 100 times once we start looking at really enabling those service delivery platforms. The other thing that's very critical with a platform, it's all wrapped around in the ecosystem. We do not operate in isolation anymore. The partners, the citizens, the users of the cities, how we create value within that city is all interconnected, and that's truly what enables the platform to bring real value to the city. Next, let's talk about the Nokia solution portfolio that we have for cities. We've got 4 main components in that. And as I was just mentioning, connectivity, of course, is a key layer. Now, this is where we're talking about the fixed and the wireless end-to-end connectivity. It's really about the infrastructure that the cities need to have in place to enable the use cases that they're looking at. It's really important that this infrastructure is industrial grade, it's robust, and it's scalable, because that's where you get your solid foundation. Next, we move up into analytics and data platform. And that's very much combined with a robust integrated city operations center. This is such an important aspect because it allows the city to manage their complex operations through a single pane of glass, hence seeing all of the interactions of the different processes and services they offer. Next, the third component, this is really where we start to combine aspects from the connectivity and the analytics, and it's really about creating intelligent assets. Let's take the example of an asset such as street poles. And in this example, we as Nokia, we've been working with energy and lighting partners to give significant cost savings and transform the pole into a smart IoT hub with new capabilities that can deploy multiple devices. These devices could include smart cameras, environmental sensors. By incorporating these into the pole and making it a smart asset, you can then provide use cases such as public safety, monitoring for safety, improving the livability of the city and the citizens in what they experience where they are. The next part that we go to, the last one, which is number 4, that's the next generation services. And this is really the high value use cases. An example that we have seen from some of the cases we're working with in Europe is along the connected care for the elderly. This is all about being able to provide the remote monitoring, the diagnostic services into their homes, thus allowing them to actually remain in their own homes longer and still be cared for. Another example that we've seen as well is on the education services side, where inner city schools in some locations have very poor connectivity. And as part of the city program, these next generation services have been able to be provided to the schooling as well to improve that. And financial services partnerships are also part of these next generation services that we see. Next, let's talk about the broadband connectivity. That really is the key that's enabling the transformation of our cities. With today's wireless networks, we're seeing multiple improvements occur across several domains. The lockdown, restricted travel, and social distancing has driven innovation and increased adoption of digital services. We particularly see this in remote learning, where it's been necessary to maintain education for our children during this period. And as they return to schools and learning institutions such as universities start to regain their services again, with the institutions I've been speaking to, there seems to be a definite trend to retaining a form of hybrid learning where some will be face-to-face and some will actually continue in a virtual model. The other side, of course, from the broadband connectivity enablement is very much on the telemedicine. As we've seen under COVID, the innovation that's occurred and the rapid adoption of telemedicine, which had been growing quite slowly previously, has now rapidly increased. Other early phase use cases that we've seen have been around the future of work, as both governments and commercial enterprises in the cities are assessing what the impact of work from home will be, what the facilities will be, what will work look like in the future. I think it's going to be different. I don't think we're going to stay the way we are today, but I don't think we'll go back to what we had previously either. 5G will enable city transformations given the millions of people and the devices that we'll be connecting, where we need the capacity and the reduced latency and reliability to meet the needs of the city. Let's now talk about the multiple dimensions that are really required to drive success. What we've very much found as we've worked and operated with cities and governments around the world is that single use cases and technological solutions alone are not enough. City transformations need a strategic platform that holistically engages key stakeholders. We've pulled together multiple dimensions from Nokia and from our partners. The technology aspect is something we're very strong in, and a strong connectivity layer enabling fixed and mobile networks and a platform to connect everything is essential. The financing component is key, and we work with some leading financial partners in public-private partnership models, which are creating innovative contracting models, very new approaches, very new business models. Thought leadership and sharing of best practices is another strategic area to shape the new ways of doing things. And we always must remember the ecosystem of solution providers, financial partners and stakeholders all have to come together. And as this all comes together with a business case that works and delivers the city vision. And the business case has to be there because without it, it's not going to be sustainable. Identifying, analysing and understanding the key needs of your citizens and taking a holistic strategy drives success along the journey to connecting everything and everyone to make our cities a safer, smarter and more sustainable place. In summary, we're seeing cities are focused on inclusion and bridging the digital divide, a topic that has been discussed for many years and has been on the agendas of all governments around the world. Making their cities smarter, safer, and more sustainable, that's been such a highlighted topic for this year and one that I believe is very much here to stay. Shifting to the digital world, obviously this has been driven extensively by the COVID-19 situation, but the digitisation journey was something that cities and governments had started several years ago. I think we're just seeing a faster focus on it, which is a very positive thing. And lastly, the adopting of integrated platforms, new business models, and inclusive ecosystems. Thank you for the opportunity to share our vision that Nokia has of the city as a platform and why this is an important tool towards moving to a safer, smarter, more sustainable city. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara, for enlightening us with the endless possibilities of a smart city. Now, here to show us practical applications of various technologies in our local and national government. Please welcome PLDT Enterprise Head of Innovation for Internet of Things, Gio Abaquin, and Product Development Specialist for Internet of Things Innovations, Cel Borromeo.
Good afternoon. I am Gio Abaquin, Innovation Head for Internet of Things from PLDT Enterprise. The PLDT Group has long been in support of the Philippine government in serving the country by providing fixed, wireless, and ICT services, be it at the home, to your personal mobile devices, and throughout the entire business spectrum. This continued support carries on as the Philippine government continues to serve each and every Filipino. Even as the entire world is faced with this global challenge, the service and support of PLDT to the Philippines resonates even more. Two laws come into focus in this endeavor. Republic Act 10121, or the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act, and Republic Act 11032, Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act. RA 10121 is an act mandated to strengthen disaster management in the Philippines, a country prone to natural hazards. This law was also invoked to allocate resources in the fight against COVID-19. RA 11032 is an act to build standardized deadline for government transactions, designed for the fast, efficient, and secure provision of government services and promote automated, digitalized government services. RA 10121 is an act mandated to strengthen disaster management in the Philippines, a country prone to natural hazards. This law was also recently invoked to allocate resources in the fight against COVID-19. RA 11032 is an act to build a standardized deadline for government transactions. It is also designed to promote the automated, digitized, and efficient government services. We are also working closely with the DICT, which has established a roadmap for the digitalization for the Philippines. Through this, the company has undertaken an expansion and upgrade of PLDT and Smart's networks, which has amounted to nearly 260 billion pesos in overall capital expenditure over the past 5 years. In 2019 alone, PLDT Group's capex reached a record 72.9 billion pesos. Moreover, our 2020 capex is expected to reach 70 billion pesos despite the slowdown in network rollout due to the quarantine controls imposed in the second quarter of this year. These investments have greatly enhanced and improved our internet services, being recognized not just locally, but globally. Despite the surge in internet traffic after the country was placed under lockdown in mid-March, our fixed and wireless networks have remained resilient and outpaced yet again the competition in the first half of this year. For fixed internet, Ookla reported that PLDT achieved a speed score TM of 24.79 points, top download speeds of 70.5 Mbps, top upload speeds of 85.3 Mbps. The Fixed Internet Award is based on over 48 million customer-initiated speed tests nationwide for Q1 and Q2 of 2020. Similarly, Smart posted a speed score of 18.33 points, with an average download speed of 15.9 Mbps, average upload speed of 7.5 Mbps. This is based on 2.8 million user-initiated tests taken with speed tests in the Philippines for the period of Q1 to Q2 of 2020. As we improve our network services, we also expand our solutions beyond traditional telco services. We'll be showcasing our solutions for both LGUs and national government. Here are our solutions for LGUs. As the country becomes more developed, it has become increasingly important for the public sector to provide access to basic services to its citizens. LGU hotlines, agency hotlines, emergency hotlines, and other services allows our citizens to easily reach out for the support they need. PLDT's Cloud Contact Center as a Service provides you all the features you need on a subscription-based model with absolute security and resiliency. You can see on screen the Department of Health's Assistant Secretary Eric Tayag and PLDT CCAS in action. We can also help LGUs build, upgrade, and expand their command centers through our managed IT services. As you can see on screen, we have recently worked with the city government of Dumaguete, expanding the city's command center powered by PLDT. We can offer an end-to-end public safety and emergency response system designed to efficiently record, dispatch, and monitor incidents while keeping concerned first responders connected to the emergency response process, all in near real time. The province of Sorsogon recently launched the Sorsogon Citizenry Emergency Hotline that features Smart's emergency response solution. We also work with our partners, subsidiaries, and affiliates in providing citizen engagement solutions such as the city's mobile app. PLDT Enterprise and Multisys, together with the City Government of Manila, recently launched the City of Manila's Citizen app. Citizens can now access city services through their personal mobile devices. PLDT Enterprise and Multisys also powered the City of Kawayan, Isabella's e-government platform, making the city one of the most advanced LGUs in the country today. Last but not the least, Smart Wi-Fi offers fast, free, and fiber-powered internet to more and more cities and municipalities across the country. Smart Wi-Fi offers carrier-grade internet services to over 1,200 sites and over 200 LGUs across the country. These are just some of the solutions and services for LGUs. Here's a video of how PLDT can make each city and municipality a smart city.
What does the future of the Philippines look like? With the rapid development of technology, a cultural shift towards digitalization seems inevitable. Add to that the abundance of innovations focused on improving the quality of life, and you have the future of the Philippines. A smart city is a connected, resilient, and digitally enabled city where it places emphasis on scaling up the local economy by creating jobs and promoting local businesses. This enables citizens to stay connected from anywhere and at any time. Smart cities focus on the well-being of every citizen. Through digital technology, local government units can constantly be in dialogue with their constituents and thereby find ways to improve their services. Smart cities aim to improve communities by building digital infrastructures that harness the power of the Internet of Things. This merging of resources will provide safety and convenience for community members, allowing them to forge meaningful relationships at every point of interaction in their everyday lives. Smart cities are future-ready cities. Such is a need for communities of the Philippines, given that this is the third most disaster-prone country in the world, having been struck with 274 natural calamities over the last 20 years. Local government units will easily be able to fulfill their roles of being the frontliners in times of crisis, given that the prevention and mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery capabilities of a community are enhanced by a smart city solutions such as disaster recovery backup systems and satellite phones. In becoming smart cities, communities will be able to maximize potential, expand opportunities, and have a peace of mind in the event of emergencies. Powered by PLDT and Smart's nationwide fixed network, wireless, and digital technologies, communities can stay connected like never before. Make them smart. Make them ready. What does the future of the Philippines look like? The future of the Philippines looks connected, resilient, and digitally enabled. The future of the Philippines looks #ready. Together, let's make it ready. Together, let's create a #ready Philippines.
To showcase our solutions for national government agencies, here is Selena Borromeo.
Thank you, Gio. As we move towards becoming a truly connected country, these technological platforms are vital to provide convenient and accessible services to our citizens. They give us the ability to connect to government services as an integrated part of their day-to-day activities on the national level as well. A connected nation requires secure and reliable digital infrastructure, unified citizen services, and smart solutions ranging from mobility to mobile payments. PayMaya has enabled over 50 government agencies with digital payment services with an efficient and secure payment gateway that allows public institutions to provide seamless transactions to the Filipinos. This mobile payment solution is the biggest online acquirer and preferred government partner for digital financial services. PayMaya also has the largest domestic remittance network with over 30,000 agents nationwide and has served as the government cash-out channel for financial aid with an estimate of 10 billion disbursed. We've also powered our government institutions with our digital form solution, a solution that enables organizations to digitize forms for permits, business applications, surveys, and internal processes. For example, the Department of Agriculture has used this solution for remote monitoring and review of crop samples and surveys. The solution was also used to map out possible pest plant disease attacks, assisting in control and containment, monitor municipal agri-workification on an individual or group scale. Another key step we need to take as we move towards becoming a smarter city is harnessing the ability to provide the citizens with convenient and efficient transportation services. Smart mobility is a key component in the growth of a contemporary urban city and can help visitors and residents have a more comfortable and enjoyable everyday city experience. Smart can help make the public transport experience seamless from entering the station and waiting for the bus and train towards ride proper and arrival. Our smart mobility solutions include digital fare payments, trip planning, and mobile internet access, making the everyday commute easier for the public. As we assist in making our city smarter, we are also continuously working on connecting rural areas of the country as well. SmartSat is a satellite service that allows for seamless communication and collaboration via satellite-powered voice, SMS, and data capabilities in areas where GSM signal is compromised. This allows us to connect to people and strengthen businesses in many remote provinces of the Philippines. The public sector, with the common goal of providing sustainable solutions for citizens via digital transformation, has taken the necessary steps to protect its institutions from cyber threats. Very recently, we formed a cybersecurity council to help protect government institutions along with the country's enterprises against cyber risks. The council is in compliance with existing laws such as the Data Privacy Act and Cybercrime Prevention Act, which require companies and institutions to safeguard customer data. EPLDT has a comprehensive roster of cybersecurity solutions and services ranging from cybersecurity consulting, incident response, and managed security platforms. EPLDT's portfolio of cloud solutions and technologies will complement all of our smarter citizen services. Our cloud solutions are especially designed and tailor-made depending on the needs of every organization. By deploying a simplified approach based on latest cloud technology, tools, best practices. As more and more people expect seamless experiences from businesses and government institutions, EPLDT will help agencies provide faster and reliable digital services for its customers via managed cloud solutions that provide virtual compute and storage resources backed with expert consultation and 24-hour support. As these platforms enable us to have a data-driven government, EPLDT can address your needs in terms of security, data accessibility, and disaster resiliency with our globally recognized data center facilities. With 10 fully operational data center facilities strategically spread across the country and a 9,000 rack capacity that's ready for enterprise needs such as co-location, cloud hosting, disaster recovery, managed servers, security and network services, you can ensure the security of your agents' continued service to the people. Lastly, with the country's move to adapt to a more flexible workforce structure, we will also be able to help you ensure continuous productivity with our suite of collaboration solutions and stay connected with your own workforce. You'll be able to power your virtual office at home with the right collaboration tools to maintain productivity levels for your employees. A unified communication and collaboration platform allows you to chat, hold full meetings, and share files within your organization. With these solutions, you'll be able to achieve uninterrupted workdays beyond the walls of your office and connect you better to your colleagues. ePLDT, PLDT, and SMART are fully equipped with solutions to help our local and national government improve internal operations and in turn provide excellent services to our citizens. As the Philippines makes strides towards having more digitally enabled services, the importance of fortifying our digital core infrastructure and elevating government services by having more technologically advanced platforms, you will be able to realize our vision of becoming a connected country and thus improving the life of the Filipinos. As our chairman Manny Pangilinan said, the good thing about it is digital revolution is not only about technology, it is ultimately eminently human. So thank you everybody, and don't hesitate to ask us questions later during the Q&A portion of the program.
Empowering our country, one smart city transformation at a time. Thanks for that, Gio and Sel. Now, let's take a closer look at various tools and technologies that are revolutionizing our cities. And here to share this with us is Cisco's SD1 Product Sales Specialist, currently handling Cisco SD1 in the ANZ region. His 20-plus years of knowledge and experience in the networking industry comes from working in a variety of roles like technical support, deployment, operational consultancy, and sales. Let's all welcome Rohan Saldana.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy and enjoying the DigiCon conference. My name is Rohan Saldana. I'm based in Sydney, and I work for Cisco as a product specialist focusing on software-defined WAN. Back in August 2020, we organized a virtual roundtable where we had 20 CIOs and senior executives from the different government agencies across ANZ participate in the discussion around how agencies need to digitally transform themselves to maintain business continuity in this new normal. So there were three main themes that came out from this discussion. So the first theme was around the need to rapidly hyperscaling of government services and operations. Agencies needed to realize that they need to support a massive demand for high bandwidth applications to provide services to their corporate citizens. They had to stand up IT capability very quickly so that they could support all their workers working from home. The second theme was around secure virtualization of everything at scale. Examples of this were, education institutions. Up till then, primary schools, tertiary education, they had to quickly transform from doing learning in schools to online and learning at home. Working from home became a completely new normal for a lot of the agencies and their staff. So they had to enable this, but also secure it to ensure that they were getting the same level of service, whether they were working from home or whether they were working from the office as they were used to. With healthcare, this was even more important to actually virtualize everything and also secure it. Stand-up hospitals, stand-up clinics, stand-up services for other important things had to be quickly set up in remote areas or in other areas so that they could ease the burden on hospitals. And the third theme was that because of the first two themes, there was a lot of new pressure on the government and the government agencies that were supporting them. A lot of citizens were expecting greener and more equitable economies as government started to spend money in order to support the new normal. Things had to be done differently. The citizens wanted to do these things differently, and that was adding a pressure to the government. So in order to actually support this and actually enable the digital transformation of these agencies need to think about adopting a new all-encompassing architecture. And in Cisco, we have developed this architecture called the Resilient Distributed Enterprise. So the core of this new architecture is that it needs to be flexible. Flexibility means that this new architecture needs to have automation, visibility, assurance, and analytics. It needs to be inbuilt in this architecture. Workers today are working from anywhere, right? They are actually working from the home. They're working from remote areas. And we also have things that are needing to connect to the corporate environment from anywhere. And so the architecture that you enable needs to be able to support this. And it's also the applications that they are that they're accessing. These applications are no longer in the data center. They are distributed in multiple different clouds. They could be in a private cloud. They could be in a cloud hosted by a number of different providers. And there's all these, and there's this requirement of being able to connect a worker from anywhere to this application that can be residing anywhere. And in order to do that, you need to have an architecture that supports software-defined technologies, whether it's in the access, or whether it's in the cloud edge, or whether it's in the WAN. The architecture needs to be able to stitch this from end to end. And that's what the Cisco Resilient Distributed Enterprise Architecture does. The worker can be anywhere. We enable software-defined technologies to securely access it at the edge. The WAN is software-defined. The cloud edge is software-defined so that it can access the applications from end to end. And this Resilient Distributed Enterprise provides a great application experience because that is the end goal. The end goal of the Resilient Distributed Enterprise is to provide a great application experience, and that application experience needs to be secure. We need to provide the security from end to end. So we have technologies like segmentation, zero trust security. This all needs to be embedded within the Resilient Distributed Enterprise. So flexibility, have software-defined technologies, and have security inbuilt. These are the fundamental themes of the Cisco Resilient Distributed Enterprise. And I'm here today to talk to you about SD-WAN, which is the core connectivity that enables this Resilient Distributed Enterprise, connecting the software-defined edge to the cloud edge, connecting the user to the applications residing in multiple clouds, all with security embedded to improve the application experience. So why think about a software-defined WAN? And what are some of the business benefits of a software-defined WAN? Cisco commissioned a paper with IDC where we have gone through different scenarios and use cases, and we've come up with the key business benefits of enabling a software-defined WAN. Government agencies need to think about this because they need to provide connectivity to users and citizens and agencies that are distributed in many different environments. Just using MPLS links can be quite expensive. Internet has become quite efficient, reliable, and business-grade internet is freely available now. So why not complement your MPLS links with these internet links so that you can provide a better application experience? And the software-defined WAN technology helps you do exactly that. Another benefit of a software-defined WAN is that it helps you lower the cost of your WAN service. The paper says that we can reduce the cost of WAN operations by 38%. This is because you're using internet links to complement your existing MPLS links. And then the operation part of it, it's because you've got a software-defined WAN and you've got a centralized way of managing and operating this WAN, you can actually save cost in terms of making changes, bringing up new sites, you get more visibility and assurance, and that all helps you to manage it more efficiently and reduce your downtime. So what's so special about Cisco SD-WAN? So Cisco SD-WAN, along with the basic SD-WAN capabilities, which you see here on the left-hand side, which is defined by Gartner, we are actually focusing on adding technologies to our software-defined WAN solution in three main areas. So the first one is multi-layer security. We have security inbuilt and embedded in the Cisco SD-WAN solution. That means My WAN can have segmentation and different topologies within these different segments. This is very important for government agencies because you have lots of third-party networks that need to participate in your WAN. So you need to provide them with WAN connectivity, but you need to provide them with segmentation because you do not want them to interfere with your other WAN network. And you want to be able to provide them with different topologies. Some might need hub and spoke, some might need fully mesh. So your SD-WAN technology needs to, or your solution needs to have that capability. And it's all about improving the application experience. And so we focus on technologies to optimize the application experience. And we do that by working very closely with our cloud partners like Microsoft, AWS, and we have technologies like Cloud On-Ramp, which help improve the end-to-end application experience for users, no matter where they are, to whatever application they are accessing, whether it's Office 365 in Microsoft Azure, or it's an infrastructure as a service workload in AWS. And lastly, we are making our SD-WAN solution highly scalable and enterprise grade. So highly scalable means we can support thousands of sites, thousands of users with all the security capabilities included. And we make it enterprise grade because we provide technologies that can reduce the downtime and provide you failovers in sub-second scenarios. So Cisco's SD-WAN solution, along with the basic capabilities defined by the likes of Gartner, focuses on these three main areas to actually improve the application experience. So I talked about application experience, and how are we doing this? We're doing this by working very closely with the cloud providers that are out there. So we work very closely with Microsoft, Amazon, Equinix, and Google to support the different scenarios. With Microsoft Azure and Google, you're able to insert the Cisco SD-WAN edge device within their cloud fabric. So we can get better visibility, we can use policy, we can make use of their backbone infrastructure to provide the fastest path from where the end user is to whether they're accessing an application within the cloud or a workload within these cloud providers. We also are partnering with Equinix so that in the scenarios of co-location, you have the quickest path to be able to jump from where you terminate within an Equinix location and make use of the backbone connectivity that they have provided for SaaS and infrastructure as a service workloads. And lastly, Cisco is also best positioned to enable you for the SASE transformation. Now, I mentioned that security is inbuilt and key within the Cisco SD-WAN solution, and SASE is now the new buzzword, Secure Access Services Edge, as defined by Gartner. And Cisco is the only company that has got SASE today. So we can provide network as a service and network security as a service, all enabled through the Cisco SD-WAN solution. So the Cisco SD-WAN solution has got security embedded through the segmentation and the different topologies that I mentioned, but it also got capabilities like firewall as a service, CASB, and SIG type capabilities embedded within the DNA solution, within the Cisco SD-WAN solution. So what do I mean by that? Is you enable the Cisco SD-WAN technology and you've got security inbuilt, which means you manage it from a common platform and you can enable the policies for both your security and your SD-WAN technologies. So in summary, I hope I've given you a quick overview of the Cisco Resilient Distributed Enterprise and how it can help you do the digital transformation needed to maintain business continuity in this new normal. If you need any further information, please feel free to contact your Cisco representative, and we'll be happy to help address any questions that you have. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you continue to enjoy the rest of the conference. Good day.
Thanks so much for that, Rohan. Indeed, there is so much that government units and agencies can do with the solutions and technologies we have today. So, without further ado, let's hear what some of them have to say. Let's all welcome Dumaguete City Mayor Felipe Remolio.
First of all, I envision Dumaguete to be globally competitive in terms of technology, educational hub, sports hub, and a convention hub in this part of the globe. And lastly, Dumaguete is envisioned to be environmentally sound, which is perfect for retirees. This will be an educational town and at the same time a haven for retirees, which is a good mix between the young generation and the older generation. This is really the first time that any government, local or national, has experienced this pandemic. The best we can do as a not so rich city is to devise or innovate means to prevent the spread of this COVID-19 virus. We have successfully managed the coming in and out of transportation in the early stages of the pandemic. We have managed to devise schemes to maintain physical distancing amongst our people and activities whereby they have to be called for the distribution of goods, rice, and even the distribution of government financial aid to our people. We have utilized the Sangguniang Kabataan, the barangays, even volunteers, and to cooperate to make these things possible. As a mayor, I had to take the heat for our people, even if we employ means that are not acceptable or initially palatable to our people. But I have to focus on doing these things in order to prevent the pandemic or to prevent the virus from spreading. And so far we have been successful despite the lack of facilities, but the cooperation of our people and our determination to survive this crisis until the vaccine or the cure for COVID-19 would have been available to our people. It's quite difficult in the beginning to experience such a worldwide phenomenon where everybody's affected. And it will just need our resoluteness, our determination to fight this crisis as a community, and then use our innovations, our imagination to convince the people to observe the 3 protocols of wearing face masks or face shields, social distancing, and the washing of hands. It's really quite difficult, but as long as you're able to communicate your good intentions and you get the cooperation, not just of amongst public officials, but including the young generation, and volunteers are very important to effectively prevent the virus from spreading. We are also in constant communication and coordination with the national government agencies to help us survive this crisis. We are able to afford PLDT's modern technology of CCTVs, about 325 CCTVs installed all over our city, which really helped us in monitoring and contact tracing. Dumaguete will be among the leading educational hub of this country, and the best, especially in this time of pandemic. We really know that communication through electronic means is the way to go. We need a very effective and efficient internet connection. PLDT will be the best partner for our city and for us individually. We are very much banking on our internet connection in the process of learning.
Thank you for sharing all of that, Mayor Remolio. We're looking forward to hearing more from you during the panel discussion. Now, in one of the most disruptive times in history, there have been a lot of trends, research, and practices that have evolved along the way. To tell us more about this, we also have with us Micro Focus's Head of Technology and Business Solutions in the Asia Pacific and Japan. He has over 25 years of experience in the IT industry and more than 17 years in software industry. Currently, he leads a team of highly skilled and experienced professionals responsible for mainstream adoption of the latest innovations. Let's all welcome Kapil Kaul.
Hello, good morning. Recent world events have brought out smart digital transformation as the backbone to delivering high quality citizen services. Today, through this presentation, I would place in front of you some great examples of how government and non-government agencies are relying on smart digital transformation to deliver high quality citizen services. A number of analysts have provided an outlook for return to economic growth and that of GDP. I have taken this model that IDC presented recently, jointly with Micro Focus, and it resonated well with what we hear from you. In summary, the key to recovery is in the use of technology to flatten the curve between the economic slowdown and a return to growth. Smart, pragmatic, and focused investments to improve the services will remain a priority, and information technology or IT will play a key role in this transformation. At Micro Focus, we identified 4 focus areas that are essential for delivering on pragmatic, smart digital transformation. Enterprise DevOps that scales for large organizations like public sector government to speed up the release of digital services with high quality and user experience. Hybrid IT management that provides the agility to scale out infrastructure across physical, private cloud, or public cloud environments with cost optimization built in. Security risk and governance to ensure security of identities, data, application, right from the stages of application development and to production. And finally, insights, putting data to work using artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies in order to make decisions that improve the quality of experience of users against the digital services. Now let me talk about some examples from around the world. Center of Telecommunications and Technologies Information, Government of Catalonia, Spain. Their citizens expect every application to be working 24 hours a day, every day. They have to deliver quality applications. They run 500 application tests each month to ensure quality of application updates and releases. CTTI, as it's called, relies on Micro Focus Quality Center to automate several of their application tests to improve the quality of their applications and thereby increasing the speed at which they can deliver new updates for their citizen digital services. Brazil Justice Department started on their service desk modernization journey prior to the time of pandemic. Their average IT service desk first contract resolution rate was about 8.7%, and they set a goal of 60%. But by March 2020, the rate was already 37.9% of the 8,000 or so tickets that they received. And by May 2020, the rate was already at 45% of the close to 5,800 requests that they received. A team of 6 people made all the difference using smart analytics within the Micro Focus Service Management X Max service desk solution. A WHO declared on 11th March 2020 COVID as a pandemic. On 12th of March 2020, the IT team of the Justice Department released a toolkit, which is working from home toolkit. The toolkit was a collection of articles to access services over internet or VPN, telephones, judicial and administrative systems. Amid the pandemic, the response was agile and continuous between IT and users. And among users themselves through the SMAC's Ask a Friend and feedback from other users feature. The experience with launching the toolkit was a success, and they repeated it to keep it operational and to launch their virtual judgment platform. They trained civil servants through a new toolkit We called it the toolkit Remote Justice. Doctors on Demand Australia is an online platform that connects doctors to patients in a virtual environment. They saw a 235% increase of traffic on their online platform during the pandemic. Doctors on demand must ensure privacy of their clients' sensitive data and also adhere to regulatory guidelines like ISO 27001, GDPR, or the Australian ISM. Doctors on Demand uses Microfocus Fortify on Demand to scan any source code vulnerability of the web application in order to ensure that they are patched in time to prevent any sensitive data theft. At Microfocus, our mission is customer-centric. We deliver high-end technology that solves complex problems for our clients in every industry, so that large organizations like yours, the government, can go about running their services while using a pragmatic approach to transform. We call it high-tech, low drama. Visit the Microfocus booth to chat with us, and I invite you to find out more about our solutions. We have games and attractive prices to be given away at our booth. Later, I will be happy to take your questions during the question and answer session. And for more information, drop us a note at sea.marketing@microfocus.com. Thank you for your attention today, and you have a wonderful conference.
Thank you so much, Kapil. With the state and local governments challenged to make better decisions and plan for an uncertain future since the sudden digital shift, let's all welcome Pras Murthy, Senior Manager for Enterprise and Government in Emerging ASEAN at Tableau, as he shares how data and analytics can be used more effectively to help address our evolving needs.
Hello everyone. I am going to take you through a very exciting journey on how government departments are leveraging data every day to make important decisions. I am Pras from Tableau Southeast Asia. A little bit more about me. I've spent most of my career in data and data management, and I used to be a business analyst 10 years ago. My biggest frustration in that job was trying to extract data from a traditional big data warehouse or a business warehouse. It used to take me 2 to 3 days to extract data, another 2 to 3 days to organize and share my extracts with relevant department heads. Then I would spend 3 weeks responding to data clarification questions. This whole process took 1 month, and I had to do this every month. I just could not believe how slow the process was. When I saw the opportunity for me to join Tableau, I knew this would be the type of tool and solution that would make any analyst's lives much easier. So please feel free to send me an email and add me on LinkedIn via the QR code in the slide, and I'll be happy to have a discussion with you anytime. So some of you may have heard of Tableau, but just in case you have not, our company's mission statement is we help people see and understand data. This is not just our job requirement, but it is our culture, our meaning, our value proposition, and the reason why we exist. We have a free version of Tableau. Go to www.public.tableau.com and you'll find some really cool things there. So this is one of the visits you will find in our Tableau public portal. It was created by UNFPA, which is the United Nations Population Fund, which has been backing sexual and reproductive healthcare initiatives in the Philippines for 50 years. UNFPA supports the health systems to deliver core services to women, their newborn infants, young people, and men. And this viz combines data from Philippines Department of Health correlating COVID-19 info and WRA, Women's of Reproductive Age info, to show what is the impact the virus might have. The viz has been created and is being shared to the public for anyone to see and use data to help them make important decisions. Another popular question that keeps coming up are, what are the most common challenges local governments faced in using data effectively? Governments have tremendous amounts of data from a wide variety of sources, whether it's in databases, backed up archives, in Excel files, or spatial files. The list can go on. And currently, citizens are engaging with governments online at an increasing rate, and every digital transaction generates more data. The challenge is that offices can't easily access the data they need, and that puts a lot of dependency on IT to generate these reports for them. This usually creates a manual, lengthy process where a ton of back and forth that's inefficient for all involved. In addition, when you look at data in rows and columns, it doesn't necessarily tell us the right story. And so, are we seeing any improvements? Can we see any trends? Those things are often gone unnoticed. And the next question that really comes up is, how are analytics solutions evolving to help address these needs? Modern analytics has really shifted. Historically, the role of analytics has been to build reports, but now we're seeing it enable self-sufficiency for data-driven decisions. Many of these processes are still manual, and they involve moving data from governed to ungoverned systems for analysis. This creates a new role for IT departments. So, as organizations can scale self-service analytics for a broader audience, IT must embrace governance as the guardrails to data and analytics explorations. Instead of restricting access and causing bottlenecks, this demand operationalizing and automating processes alongside establishing a good balance of control and agility. It's a big effort. Orchestrating change requires executive support as well as alignment and participation from a broad set of cross-functional teams to ensure that needs of the departments are being met. Realizing the full value of the department's data means empowering everyone, not just a subset of people, but to make decisions with it in a way that is simple and intuitive for every user. You shouldn't think about just giving people the right tools, but you have to figure out how to help them develop new skill sets, create new behaviors, and encourage greater participation. You have to incorporate it into all decision-making cycles to transform the impact to the organization at large. It takes baby steps. You're not just deploying software, you're driving organizational transformation by prioritizing facts over intuition, which is what we've used for many, many years. So now I'm going to talk about the city of Cincinnati, which is a state of Ohio, in the state of Ohio in the USA. And their Office of Performance and Data Analytics, OPDA, collects citywide data and publishes this for all citizens and other local governments with the goal to improve their services, promote transparency, and drive innovation. So this data is being collected and distributed across many departments, including police and emergency medical services. So this is one of their publicly available dashboards for emergency medical services. It's been created using Tableau. It shows the number of incidents responses by month, by location, in a map with different colors to indicate the incident type and the busiest periods of such incidents. So immediately you can tell that they are busiest from mid-morning, 10 a.m. or so, until about 10 p.m. by looking at the color chart on the right. Therefore, medical providers can now plan their resources effectively on when and where to staff their hospitals to cater for these busy locations and periods. So interactively within the Tableau Viz, as a viewer, you can select and hover your mouse over a month to see that specific data that exists for just that month. So we've just done that in the month of May 2020. The top incident response type was COVID-19 related. Now, whereas in the month of September 2020, the top incidence type was just general sickness. So immediately you can see a trend on the change in incident type. And this information will help medical service providers plan correctly with the right training and equipment to address what is currently popular. This might also be an effective performance indicator on the city services. So this is another Viz. Now, I'd like to kind of share and draw your attention to this, right? So basically another popular global topic is that you were seeing a lot in the news is on the use of force by police, and quite popular in the US as well. And this Tableau Viz shows the number of incidents when police have used force. It also shows the type of force, such as the use of a taser, was there an injury to a victim or prisoner, the location and what time of the day is this most happening. And according to the data on this Viz, you can see that the data shows that this is most popular at the early hours of Sunday morning. So using this data, local police departments can plan effectively which police departments require additional training, when and where to deploy more experienced police officers. And also the good news is that the trend is positive right now. So where there has actually been a decline in the use of force in 2019, you can see a slight reduction. So we can only hope that this decline continues and we finish the year 2020 with even lower, better decline and lower results. So with that, I'd like to finish off by a few closing words by Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. Data is a precious thing and will last longer than the systems themselves. So please feel free to reach out to me and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one and chat with anybody regarding how data can help you in your organization. Thank you very much.
Key in your questions, comments, and suggestions via the chat.
And now that you have discovered and learned about the latest technologies and solutions designed to reinvent your businesses, it's time for us to take some questions. So at this point, allow me to introduce you to our esteemed panelists, beginning with Dustin Kehoe, Head of Research for Global Data Asia Pacific. Hi, Dustin. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
We also have Mayor Felipe Remolio of Dumaguete City. Magandang umaga, Mayor.
Maya Bunta, good morning and hi to everyone.
We also have Ms. Joy Hilao, Public Sector CRM Head of PLDT Enterprise. Hi, Joy.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for joining us again at DigiCon 2020.
And Mr. Gio Abakin, Head of Innovation for Internet of Things for PLDT Enterprise. Hi, Gio. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning, Sean. Good morning, everyone.
We also have with us Ms. Barbara Noonan. She is the Head of Government and Cities for Asia Pacific and Japan of Nokia Enterprise. Hi, Barbara. Mr. Kapil Cole, Head of Technology and Business Solutions in Asia Pacific and Japan over at Micro Focus.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And we also have Mr. Rohan Saldana, SD-WAN Product Sales Specialist at Cisco. Hi, Rohan. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sean. Good morning, everyone.
And Pras Murthy, Senior Manager for Enterprise and Government of Tableau ASEAN. Hi, Pras. Hope you're doing fine today.
Hello, Sean. Good morning. Hello, everyone.
All right, so these are our panelists. Now, to all our delegates, do engage with us by typing in your questions in the chat box. All right, and we have our first question right now. It's coming in from Ms. Jimenez, and this one is going out to Mayor Felipe Remolio. Mayor, earlier you mentioned that you envisioned Dumaguete City to become one of the country's leading education, sports, and retirement hubs. So can you elaborate on how your constituents in Dumaguete can help realize this vision for the city?
Well, for the past 4 years, we have already hosted a number of sports events in Dumaguete, whether regional or national events, palaro, and so on and so forth. We are so excited that come 2021, November, we will be hosting for the first time the ASEAN Schools Games. It will be participated in by about 2,000 to 3,000 athletes and coaches coming from 11 member ASEAN countries. And we won the bid to host this, and supposedly it was this year, but because of the pandemic, we had to reschedule it for next year. Dumaguete is a educational hub, and we welcome, and I have been writing all those concerned heads of institutions that conduct national examinations like the bar exams, the examination for nurses, pharmacies, and so on and so forth. And that my pitch is to them is Dumaguete being an educational city. It's the best place to host national examinations, and the standard of living is low, relatively low, and that it's very, very safe here in Dumaguete. Now, people know that, and we have a lot of young students, and I motivate people to pitch in, and join the government as volunteers to make this all happen. And our number one resource is the human resource that would make this happen. We have a master plan for the city. Actually, I am a comebacking mayor. I made the master plan and since 20 years ago. And we just had to tweak it a bit to fit the present situation of the city.
All right, so you mentioned volunteering. Exactly how can citizens of Dumaguete volunteer? And do they just knock on your door over at City
Yes.
Hall?
No, it's spirit of volunteerism, and that's what I've been. We cannot do it alone, the government officials. That's why, with a lot of human resource here, we have, including foreigners who are already retirees or have retired in Dumaguete. They are in different fields of endeavor. We can, use their talents. We can pick their brains, and the about 30,000 students, young students, from 5 universities. The leading universities in Dumaguete are that of Silliman University, St. Paul's University in Dumaguete, which is the first St. Paul College or university in the entire country, Foundation University, Negros Oriental State University, and the Colegio de Santa Catalina de Alejandra College.
All right, definitely Dumaguete me, right, Mayor? Super clean, really good food, that's Dumaguete, and great beaches and fantastic breeze. All right, we have our second
Definitely,
question.
you'll be here, so you can say that.
Yeah. Now, the second
And
question.
all of you guys are welcome to come here.
Oh, we'll definitely take you up on your offer, Mayor. Once the restrictions on travel have been lifted, everybody's got to check out Dumaguete for sure. All right, our second question goes out to Dustin. This one is from Mr. Gonzalez, and he wants to ask, what should we be looking for from our technology partners? It's rather broad, so I'll let you take that however you want.
No, thank you. It's a very good question. And what we're seeing with smart cities, and Magedi as well, is we're not just going to have a begin state and an end state. It's just going to stay very static. It's very fluid. There's lots of vendors involved. It's going to be multi-vendor. It's going to be very open source because a smart city has multiple moving parts. There's the grids, there's the infrastructure itself, potentially the transportation networks, a management layer. So I look for openness when you're choosing your technology vendors because we're not growing with a master plan that we don't change. It's a master plan with multiple short-term, medium-term, maybe long-term sprints. That's one aspect to it. The other is ability to scale. So we said in the earlier slides how telcos are natural partners because they bring in the ecosystem. They have the network, the coverage, the operational resources. All of this is very important for scaling if you're going to be building a city and replicating architectures. Also technology like IoT that we've touched on. And then I guess the last point to consider is referenceability. Look for your partners that have done similar projects like this somewhere else in the Philippines or somewhere else outside of the Philippines, because this is about repeatability and credibility. And these are the 3 things that I would consider that come top of mind.
All right, so the 3 abilities. So we've got credibility, adaptability, and all the abilities, yeah? This actually flows into our next question. This one is addressed to you, Ms. Joy. It is from Mr. Gatchalian. He wants to know exactly what technologies do you think can benefit government and stakeholders?
Okay, there are different types of technologies which are provided by the PLDT group of companies. We have the fixed technologies like the WAN, wide area network. We have IP VPNs, MPLS. This is to bring all areas within a city connectivity with the center as the command center and the headquarters. Then we have the mobile technology, which makes use of mobile phones. And then we have ICT, different kinds of storage, cybersecurity, data privacy, and big data analytics all combined into one. So those are just top of the mind for now.
All right, so much technology, but Gio, Ms. Martelino wants to know, how do we trust the network when it's so slow? Do you have an answer for that?
Yes, I do. Well, the PLDT group has undertaken an expansion and upgrade of our network. So it has amounted to nearly about 260 billion in the past 5 years. So actually, in 2020 alone, our capex is expected to reach 70 billion, despite the slowdown brought about by the pandemic. So these investments have greatly enhanced and improved our services. In fact, interestingly, Ookla, which is a global leader in internet testing and analysis, has awarded us the fastest fixed and wireless internet for 2020. So that's for PLDT. We were reported an average of download speed of about 70 Mbps and top upload speed of 85 Mbps. That's on the fixed side. So for wireless side, we clocked an average upload speed of 7.5 Mbps and average download speed of 15.9 Mbps. So this recognition is a result of over 2.8 million speed tests coming from a company, from a neutral company, an internationally recognized company at that. So we, over on the infrastructure side, we also acquired the 700 megahertz band for 4G. This is designed to expand our coverage across the provincial areas, regional areas, as well as improve our in-building coverage. So these are investments that the PLDT and enhancements that the PLDT group is continuing to undertake to improve our services for Filipino customers.
All right. What is sometimes I also hear that it is a hardware issue. What with work from home now becoming on vogue, right? We hear sometimes that you can also check your hardware. So if you're having problems sometimes with a slow network, it could actually not specifically be the network, but be your hardware that you use. So how can we go about checking this if, for example, we're not techie and we're stuck at home and we don't want to let other people in? Is there a way to find out?
Over on the enterprise side, yes, we do. We can conduct workshops for device awareness, especially for our enterprise customers. For our local government units and national government units, we can conduct this remotely through our partners. Especially for the mobile devices, the phones and tablets, we can work with our hardware partners to be able to bring more familiarity for their devices to our end customers.
All right, truly exciting stuff ahead. I always have an Ookla tab open on my browser. All right, Rohan Saldana from Cisco. This question goes out to you. It is from Ms. De Guzman, and she would like to know, what should government organizations be looking at when considering an SD-WAN solution?
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for that question. So as I touched on earlier, it's all about having an architecture towards a resilient distributed enterprise, and then SD-WAN is actually a really key component of that architecture. So what I tell a lot of my customers and my government customers is that they need to look for an SD-WAN solution that is scalable. And what do I mean by that is that it's got to have an architecture where I can roll out 50 sites, or I can bring up 50 branches or 50 of my different end offices online in a week. And so you've got to be able to have that kind of scale in the solution to be able to do that.
The second thing I would encourage all our government customers is to look for an SD-WAN solution, is to understand how that vendor is dealing with improving the performance for your cloud applications. We're all distributed, especially now more than ever. We are consuming applications that are residing in multiple different clouds. Mm-hmm. So what technologies does the SD-WAN solution have that actually helps improve the end-to-end performance? So it's a very important question to actually look and ask your SD-WAN vendor and understand that. The third thing I would encourage, and in fact the most important, is to see how does that SD-WAN solution handle security? Is security an afterthought, or is it actually embedded in the SD-WAN solution? And being embedded means that it needs to be part of your edge device. It needs to be part of your management platform. You need to be able to manage and operate it from a single point of view. You do not need to have multiple different solutions, one doing your SD-WAN, one doing your security. And then the last one is always around operations. What does my SD-WAN solution offer me that's going to take time away from managing and actually operating and troubleshooting, so that I can take that time away and use it for other projects? So these would be at a high level the four things that I would encourage our customers to look for when they're evaluating an SD-WAN solution.
All right, and that also ties in with what Dustin was telling us a little bit earlier. Yeah. So Barbara, this next question goes out to you. It is from Emily, and she wants to know, how do cities start with a city as a platform approach?
Thank you for that question. The city transformations that we're looking at today, it's so important that they have a strategic approach. And it's really about engaging with all the stakeholders, the citizens in the city. Because at the end of the day, we all reside in the city. So the solutions and the transformations have to be delivering benefits for the city. And in terms of how you start with the platform approach, really starting with the analysis of the city budget, identifying the largest areas of expenditure, and then really look at what the biggest challenges are. And what we've found in the work that we've done in working with cities around the world is that typically the areas around healthcare, education, urban infrastructure, such as transport, are the key things that each city is trying to address in their master plans and in the new initiatives that they're putting there. And then the next part, from once you've done that, it's really looking at the city assets. We've heard today about the connectivity improvements, the infrastructure that's being built, and then look to the stakeholders and remember to create and leverage a whole ecosystem, and that there's really interesting, innovative options today around financing. So it's really bringing it together in a holistic way, but start with the needs of your people and how you can then deliver those.
All right, so some mapping definitely needed at the beginning, so you can actually tailor all these technologies on a case-to-case or city-to-city basis, as we are discussing here. Thanks, Barbara. All right, Pros, this next question goes out to you. It's from Bian. So she is asking, my local government department data is confidential and not allowed to be stored on any cloud. How to overcome this? So no cloud for local government data. Is there a workaround?
Yeah, so this is quite a common question that we get at Tableau from many of our government organizations, GLCs, and many companies and customers of ours that are not allowed to use the cloud, and especially with citizen data, with confidential information around our citizens' identity card, and so in actual fact, we come across this question on a very regular basis, and many of our government clients tend to think that data analytics is something that must happen in the cloud, and you need to be able to move your data to the cloud before you can start bringing on some advanced analytics and start getting some value or return on your data. But the great thing is that at Tableau, we are a fully on-premise, in your desktop, within your secure data center solution, which means you do not need to have any connection or access to a public cloud service provider or of any sort. So it eliminates that boundary, and you don't have to worry about security or any governance, because it can all be managed within your data center, within your firewall, and within your security. So that solves that problem for sure.
All right, that sounds so simple when you say it, and it's good to know rather that this is very much doable without having to go on any cloud. All right, Kapil, this question is for you. It's from Earl, who wants to know whether or not you can expand a bit on the doctors on demand use case that you were telling us about earlier. Exactly how do they secure their online application web platform?
Well, that's a good question. And isn't it all about citizens in the end, right? So as a relatively new business, Doctors on Demand works with a small core staff while servicing over 60,000 patients and 40 active doctors on their platform. New doctors are added continually on that platform. And, in today's COVID-19 times, telehealth has skyrocketed, as become the effective means to keep patients out of waiting rooms and clinics. So they did have access to global security protocols and tools from Microsoft Azure, but they still felt that their overall security approach was ad hoc and dependent on knowledge and experience of their people. So Doctors on Demand use Fortify on Demand from Micro Focus to scan the source code of the public web application, which is doctorsondemand.au.australia, as well as their iOS and Android applications to ensure there's potential links between apps and web applications that are taken into account. And just as to sum up, Fortify helps them detect about 1,000 unique categories of vulnerabilities across 26 programming languages in a very simplified software as a service model.
And of course, having said all of that, I understand that this can be also tweaked very easily to fit different use cases.
Yes, and depending on the kind of business model the smart nation or a smart city would have, you could just simply tweak it to your core requirements for your organization, like the public sector.
All right, nice to see some agility over there as well. Thanks for that, Kapil. Mayor Felipe Remolio, again, another question for you from Mr. Bustamante. And he's asking, now that Dumaguete has citywide monitoring, what else is in store for the city of Dumaguete in terms of digital transformation? What can residents as well as investors and tourists expect from your city in the coming years?
Well, in the first place, we are very fortunate to partner with PLDT, which set up a backbone or a fiber optic cable initially for our 350 CCTVs all over the city, which is now in place, and it has done a lot of wonderful security measures and for the city. Now, with that basic backbone, we can now move into improved Wi-Fi, internet, even the traffic lights, and all these allied services that can enhance the capability of government to serve our people. Maybe 5G will be coming in soon, and that we have a big plan to modernize and through electronic means an area which we can call a hub for convention hubs, seminars, and so on and so forth. So we are experimenting on that, and I'm sure that we will move to that direction, and that our partner can provide the much needed services to serve our people and those retirees and guests that could come into our city.
Yes, it would make a nice hub, Dumaguete. I saw Gio actually nodding and agreeing with maybe 5G going to Dumaguete soon while you were talking. All right, so Barbara, this next question from Steph goes asking about the key benefits for cities who adopt a platform approach. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yes, certainly. It's a great question and really important. We're hearing so much more about the plans for the city and the different technologies that are there. When you have a platform approach within your city, it provides a framework for looking at the needs of what you're going to deliver to your citizens in a really holistic way. So when we think about a single application or a single technology, it's only in one dimension. By taking this platform approach, you look holistically, and then you can ensure that you're delivering all of the benefits. So you're bringing in the technology at the right time. You're looking at the business cases at the right time. And if it's a single application, you can have a common platform. So when then you need to deploy multiple applications, you've got a whole platform to reach, and therefore you can do it faster, more efficiently, and obviously with a business case that makes sense. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, it actually does make a lot of sense. So, but in order to achieve this, you do need a lot of providers, and it is simple, but it's not, because it takes a lot of a cooperation as well. Lots of brain to work on this. Joy, this ties into Michael's next question addressed to you, which is, can you share some upcoming products and services of PLDT relating to government that can make an impact now and in the future? I think you can dovetail this from what Barbara has said, and actually pretty much all our speakers have said.
Yes, thank you again for your question. Going back, what is PLDT offering right now? We have come up with several education or academe packages to suit our students from kinder to college or to graduate school. So we have the Giga plans depending on what bandwidth you need. These are all interconnected with the different learning management systems. In addition to that, we also have e-health applications, which includes telemedicine, e-prescription, or call a doctor. Because of the COVID situation, we try to avoid face-to-face transactions. Then we have new online or upcoming online projects or systems and programs which will benefit not only the people in the cities but also in the municipalities, both with fixed or wireless connectivities, mobile included. So that's just part of what's upcoming. Then we have cybersecurity and data privacy, because even if you want to go online, we have to ensure that the constituents are going to be safe and going to be happy without the fear of losing any of their hard-earned money.
Very well said, Joy. Now that you have the floor, I'm going to let you keep having it. Can I ask you to give us maybe just to summarize some of the key takeaways that our delegates can take from this segment?
With all the different kinds of partnerships we have with the different vendors, both for hardware or software or data applications, data center applications, rest assured for the local government unit, PLDT supports you and your endeavors to coming up with a smart city starting today until such time that you have fulfilled all your smart city apps and mission and visions. Like what Mayor Remolio mentioned earlier, it's in phases, and we're here to support you, sir. So thank you very much again.
All right, and thank you very much again to all our panelists. So there are no more questions at this point. We would like again to thank our presenters from the bottom of our hearts for spending this morning with us. Special thanks also goes out to our official event partners. To all our delegates, thank you all very much for tuning in. Again, you can get a chance to win exciting raffle prizes just by answering our feedback form that will be flashed on your screens after the program. Once again, I'm Sean Yao, and this has been the eGovernment Breakout session of the Philippine Digital Convention 2020, brought to you by PLDT Enterprise, Smart, and ePLDT.